Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to today's live session. I'm very excited for the conversation that we are going to have today because we are going to go deeper into finally getting you to believe that yes, no matter what happens in my life, I know I can always change. Because something I've seen come up as a pattern in a lot of people is this: they'll want to change, they'll try to change, they'll hope they can change, but deep down, they will be unable to, and they'll keep asking themselves like, what's wrong, why are things not happening, why am I not able to. And a lot of times the answer they will find will not be the most satisfactory answer. Why? Because even though it may give them something to work on the surface, nothing really changes. Their life remains the same. And that's why I wanted to have this conversation today, because in the coaching that I do one to one with people, a lot of times the discussions we do, they're not on the surface, they go deeper, they go straight to the core. And when we reach there, and when I show them like a proper play script, how their entire lives have been played out by a certain set of patterns and by a certain set of emotions and certain set of challenges that their mind is presuming there are, they ask me one question. And that question is, Prab, do you really think I can change? Do you really think after all these years, after 40 years, after 35 years, after 28 years, everything I'm going through will change? Because now that you're telling me this, I'm realizing I've been living my life this way like all the time. And I'm worried. I don't know if I can change. And when they ask that question, I'm sitting there with my calm and all knowing smile, because I know that they can change. I know that all of us are capable of changing. But when they asked me these questions, right, that got me thinking. When they realized their patterns, when they realized where they were getting stuck, their initial reaction was feeling lonely, feeling isolated, feeling like they're the only one struggling with this. And I, as a coach, was there to help them realize no, that's not true. It's been repeating over many, many years. But that got me thinking that for all of you here, for other people who may not be in the coaching yet, how do I convey this message to them that you're not alone, that it's okay, and that yes, it can feel incredibly isolating when you're going through a challenge and it's like no one seems to understand what you're going through. But that doesn't mean you will never be able to change. That doesn't mean you'll never be able to grow, because change, that's not an end outcome, that is a decision. I'll repeat, change is not an end outcome, that's a decision. And no matter where you are in life, you can always make the decision of getting control of that end outcome. And you can always make the decision that no matter what happens, you can continue to grow, you can continue to succeed. Now, what I'm about to tell you is exactly what I tell to my coaches as well when they are struggling with this, when they were doubting, can I really change? I've just been this way all my life. The short answer, yes. The long answer, you can, because your mind and body are designed to change and grow. Did you know that every 7 years, every single cell of your body changes, reshapes, and gets reborn in one way or the other? Because of which, the skin you have today, the person you are today, the kind of cells that are there inside your body, what they were 7 years ago and what they are today are not same at all. They are different because the body keeps rejuvenating itself, the body keeps refining itself every time you go through this long term cycle of change, right? Understand this: every single day is change, every single moment you are evolving. Even if you don't want to, better or worse, you are evolving, you are changing. So the very first proof that actually it's easy for you to change is that every 7 years, whether you want to change or you don't want to change, you do end up changing. That's just science at play. That's just the basic understanding we need to build of how our bodies work and how our minds work. So, if your body can change every 7 years without any piece of effort from your side, you can too. But the second reason I say that is because of the power of neuroplasticity that exists in our lives. I'm not sure if you've heard of that term before, but even if you haven't, I'll define that for you. I'll break it down into two pieces. First is neuro, the second is plasticity. So, neuro, of course, refers to the mind or to the neurology and to the way we are inside our heads. That's essentially what neuro means. And plasticity doesn't literally translate into meaning that the brain is made of plastic. Rather, that's a term used to describe the quality or the trait that plastic comes with. And that trait is flexibility, moldability. You take any plastic, you melt that plastic, you can reshape it into any shape you want. You can use plastic in so many diverse ways that the term plasticity means the quality of being like a plastic, where you can adjust and you can flow and you can change form as easily as possible. Now, for the longest time, scientists used to believe that when a person is growing up, their formative years are what defines how they succeed. Their formative years are what defines how they turn up in the future. But when they started seeing the results and the stories of successful people, they realized, hey, wait a minute, that theory might not be true. And so they got into more research. And as they got into more research, they realized the brain is not a fixed organ. The brain can literally change when you harness the power of neuroplasticity. Initially, it was believed that neuroplasticity is higher at a young age. That means your mind can change only when you're young. Afterwards, that capacity deteriorates a bit. Now, modern research has shown us neuroplasticity is universal throughout your lifetime. You can change at any second you want. You can literally rewire your brain because you have the ability to. Your brain is not a fixed structure. Your brain is a pattern. Your brain is a system that runs on old rules. The moment you change the rules, the moment you change that understanding, you may not believe this, but the physical structure of your brain actually changes. So there was this study that was done at the University of Wisconsin, and there they were looking at the data from the brain scans of different frequencies that exist of what the monks in the Tibetan region, when they did meditation, what is the energy that they were at. Now, generally, high frequency gamma waves that are there, they come in our brains only for a fraction of a second. But the people who were meditating for years and years and years, they had a highly synchronous gamma wave that was going, that was oscillating pretty fast, but it was a consistent state during the entire meditation, more than 2 minutes. And this was something the researchers and the neuroscientists in Wisconsin has never seen before. And so they were confused and they were wondering, how can this be possible? How can someone's brain have so much high gamma activity? Then they got to an experiment. They took a group of multiple people from multiple different ends, and when that whole group came in, they made that group do the same meditations that the monks were doing. Now, as they were doing those meditations, 2 weeks later, those same people had the similar results in their brain waves. It didn't take years of meditative practice to get to that level of brain activity where their neuroscience and where their ability to think starts to support them in magical ways. Because when you're at the gamma frequency, you are able to make your manifestations work faster. You are able to create results faster. You're able to be a much more high performer. So that's what they mean when they said that the brain really is plastic. You don't need a lot of resources to change it. All you need is faith and courage and commitment. There was another research done about cocaine addicts who had damaged their neurology so much that the size of gray matter in their brain had physically shrunk. And for the longest time, scientists believed this is an irreversible change. They could see from the scans that their brain is not looking like a healthy, functioning brain. That's the most vital organ of our body. And so when we think of that, right, we think, okay, it's long gone. These people cannot recover. Guess what? Not only did these people recover, their brains actually changed in such a powerful way that they returned to all the original gray matter. The structure of their mind changed rather than the not so good interconnections and stuff that were there in the muscles of the brain. The structure changed completely, and the scientists were able to see that this is no longer the brain of a cocaine addict. When they did the mindfulness practices, when they did other things, when so much of the work and the world came towards them. Now, here's my question: whatever challenge you may be dealing with, where you feel, I don't know if it's possible for me to change. I don't know if I can really become a better person. My question is, are you dealing with a problem as severe as that addiction? Of course you're not. And even if you are, you have that portrayal in front of you that if it can happen for them, it can happen for you. The truth I want you to go away with today is this: neuroplasticity is your biggest friend. And if you want to succeed, and if you want to take your life to the next level, and if you want to make sure that no matter what happens, you can always change and you always have that belief, understand neuroplasticity, dive deeper into it. What I've given you is not even a crash course today because it's a beautiful concept. Understand the ways you can use to rewire your mind, not just with affirmations, but literally the physical structure of your brain. All those changes are possible, not just for someone, but for everyone, because we've all been built equal. We've all been made equal. In fact, I was talking to one of my coaches and he was saying, but life is unfair, right? And that's a big problem. I told him, life is unfair, but life is unfair to all. And that's probably the ironic but the biggest equality that exists in the world. See, we don't get to choose our circumstances. We don't get to choose the environments we get born into. We don't get to choose the kind of people that surround us when we are growing up. But what we do get to choose is how do we let those patterns affect us in the future, because you are not your past. You are not your story. You are not the version of you that's stuck in your head on some incident you can't forget. You are somebody who has all the power in the world to channel his or her belief to create magic that you may not even have thought of in your wildest dreams throughout many, many years. But the thing is, and the truth is, if you can master that, you can master anything. But that requires you to have faith and courage. So the next time you feel I can't change, remind yourself your brain is literally changing every day. Your body is changing every day. And you have the capacity to rewire and recover and create the most amazing life, not in years, but in just a few weeks, if you're willing to fully commit and go all out. And as you do that, I'm sure you will notice massive shifts and massive differences coming your way. Thank you for tuning in today. Thank you for giving me your time. And I hope it was valuable in helping you see the mirror that even if you feel you can never change, neuroplasticity is on your side. No matter how old you are, no matter how young you are, no matter how many years you've spent in your patterns, all that is required is your decision to break them. And I love to know in the comments, what is the one pattern you're breaking today? What is the one new decision you're making? And as you do that, I'd be happy to continue supporting you in your journey. Thank you for being here. Thank you for tuning in today. I hope this was valuable, and I'll see you once again tomorrow at the same time. That is 8:30 p.m. IST. Bye. See you soon.